Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Temple Beth El's Facebook Live Shabbat service. I'm Val Carlin, and I'll be co-officiating this Shabbat with Cantor Jeff Fine, Senior Clergy. We want to welcome members of our congregation and those joining us to pray for the first time. Since we can't say Shabbat Shalom to each other in person, please send us your Shabbat greetings using the chat feature on your screen. During the service, we will announce the page numbers, which will match our Mishkan Tefillah prayer book and the flip book you can use online. As we progress, use the chat feature to express your feelings with the emoji buttons. I hope that you all had a chance to enjoy the beautiful faux summer weather this week. Please share your warm weather activities in the chat. We had our first bonfire of the season, and we can't wait for the next, but it might be a while. Cantor, did you do any summer activities?
I did. I had my first bike ride. I'm actually taking the bike out after a year, and it was really, really, really fun. And hope to have many, many more opportunities.
Lovely.
Thanks. So we're going to start with a Nigun tonight. And before we start, I want to welcome Val as a co-leader. This is her first co-leading. And I feel very lucky and fortunate to have so many congregants like Jeff Friedman and like, who else? Joel and Jordan Harris, all helping to create these wonderful services. So thank you, Val. And we're going to start with a Nigun, Talmidei Besht. This is usually sung at a wedding, very celebratory. And look who's here, my husband, Joel Henkin. So he's
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. So he's going to join me on a couple melodies tonight. And we're going to start like, and the dog is here.
Another country heard from.
Say Shabbat Shalom.
Say Shabbat Shalom from Yam Yam.
Okay, we're gonna sing. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la,
hey,
ya la la la,
hey,
ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la,
hey,
ya la la la,
hey,
ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la ya la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
That was beautiful. It's so nice to hear you guys sing together again.
Thank you.
Please join us for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. On this Shabbat, we invite Julie and Eric Kiesel for the honor of lighting the candles. The prayer can be found on page 2.
Welcome.
Thank you. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much. We continue on page 9. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services. But I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I see these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life.
We're going to continue with Kabbalat Shabbat with some of these beautiful melodies for the Sabbath, beginning with Ma Yafeh Hayom, literally, what beautiful day this day, Shabbat Shalom. Join with me. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. And we're going to continue with Yismechu Hashamayim, which is at the bottom of page 13, the last paragraph. And it says to let the heavens rejoice and the earth exalt, let the sea and all within it thunder. How appropriate, since Earth Day was yesterday, as we remember and continue to think about our world. We join together. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. 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 Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. And I see you have animals there too.
Yes. Yes, they like to participate. We continue on pages 20 and 21 for L'Chadodi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On verse 9, please rise and face your room's entranceway to welcome the Sabbath bride.
L'Chadodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'Chadodi דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise. בואי בשלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We conclude this first section of our service with the Hatzi Kaddish on page 26.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכו נביאו מכון, ובחייכו בית ישראל, בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב ואמרו,
Amen.
יש מרבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עולמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה.
Rihu.
בריחו לאלה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בהמה ואמרו.
Amen. Please rise and face east as we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach leolam vaed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach leolam vaed.
We continue together on page 31. Oop. Flipped right past it. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. I apologize. We've now turned to page 32 for Ahavat Olam in the English, followed by the Shema on page 34.
Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. We continue now with V'ahavta on page 36. Join with me. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibartam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We now turn to page 39 for our reading. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Please hold your place on page 40 and turn to page 342 as we celebrate our freedom.
And you can also look on the screen if you don't have a book so that all of us are singing together. Join with me. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam stood upon the shores, gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land? And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. Sing with me. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo rose felet, nora tehilo rose felet. Malekotecha ra'ovanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, ve'elianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'nemar וכיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Let's continue on page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום, ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל.
We continue to celebrate Shabbat with V'shamru on page 44.
Join with us. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise and face east for tefillah on pages 46, 48, 50, and 52.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, Ophia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Vanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei Vneihem, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We read in the middle of 55 these words. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We continue on page 57. You are with us in prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answers to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadecha b'yirah navod. Our Modem Prayer is the prayer of thanks and gratitude to God. As we have asked each week since the pandemic started, think of one thing you have seen or done in the past week for which you are grateful. I am very thankful that the weather allowed me to see some friends this week that I haven't seen in a while.
That's wonderful. I am thankful for my garden. I was looking just at the garden and my vision focused right on this big iris that is starting to grow, and the leaves are very particular. And I just took notice of it, and I couldn't stop looking at it for a while. And it really made me happy and thankful that things are growing and living, and and that creation continues.
I used to have irises. I haven't had them
Yeah,
for a while.
they're beautiful.
They really are.
They
do
are.
take over your garden.
Yes, they definitely do. And so as you're writing, keep writing, but we're going to conclude our tefillah with Shalom Rav, which is the prayer for peace that we all seek and that we all hope for each day. You can find it on page 60 and join with us. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Please take some time for silent meditation to offer your own prayers to God. Afterwards, we'll join together on the bottom of page 343 for Ozi Vizimratia.
Ozi וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה. עוזי וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה. עוזי וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה עוזי וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה עוזי וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה עוזי וזמרתיה ויהי לישועה.
I now invite you to sit back and enjoy our sermon this evening, presented by Sisterhood President Maddie Plumer.
Welcome, Maddie.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. I am quite embarrassed to admit that as a Jewish woman growing up in a very Reform household, I know very little about Torah. As Sisterhood President, that makes me feel inadequate, as many other congregants in our temple are so much more knowledgeable about Torah, as well as about their Judaism. So when I began to study this week's Torah double parsha, Akrei Mot Kedushim, I was very upset with what I read. I found so much of it to be oppressive, sexist, and homophobic that I tried to find relevance and meaning in today's world. How could I relate these ancient beliefs with our current state of affairs? However, I started to see certain themes arise from the many commentaries I read, and I will speak about one of these themes tonight. The Torah says, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not pick your vineyard bare or gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I feel that in looking for relevancy in today's world, and in my life specifically, each one of us would benefit from looking into the surpluses of our lives. Perhaps the pandemic we have been living through this past year has brought a heightened awareness of this. Perhaps many of us have learned to live more minimally, discovering that less can often be more, and that this can help us to become more aware of those factors in our lives which are really important to us. We have learned how to prioritize and have realized that living with less doesn't necessarily mean being unhappy or being less fulfilled. To strengthen this fact further, we know people or have read or have heard news about the huge numbers of people who have lost jobs and or are living with food and housing insecurities. In addition, the numbers of people and of families using food banks have increased exponentially. Perhaps many of us have gained a heightened awareness of how important our family and close friends are to us, and of gratitude for the blessings in our lives. Here at Temple Beth El, we've realized how important our community is to us and how much we have missed the personal interaction with our temple friends. Though I have always felt a personal obligation for Tikkun Olam, this year has made this a very high priority for me. I feel that if I am able to help the many in need as a human being and as a Jewish woman, I have a duty to help those less fortunate than myself. I've been involved with food banks, with organizations which help the homeless, with educational programs that help those high achieving and low income high school students pursue their dreams towards a college education, and with domestic violence victims and their families who need assistance as they escape their violent past to pursue a life of fulfillment and stability. I do feel, as Torah states, that we shall always leave something for the poor and for the stranger. I leave you with these questions to ponder from Rabbi Judith Greenberg's commentary on this week's Parsha, Leviticus 16. Where do you have a surplus in your life? How might you use this surplus to help others? Why is it sometimes hard to see the abundance of your blessings? Shabbat Shalom, be safe, and stay well.
Shabbat Shalom. That was wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you,
Maddie.
Cantor.
Much to think about. Thank
Yes,
you.
much to think about.
That was beautiful, Maddie. Thank you so much. And now it is a pleasure to invite Barbara Aqua from Temple Board of Trustees to share some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, Barbara. Good to see you. And Dave.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank
Shabbat
you.
Shalom.
Thank you to all of you who joined us for the first time or continue to tune in on Fridays. I hope that the service has been a great beginning to a restful Shabbat. Thank you, Cantor Fine, for leading us tonight in a wonderful service. Val, thank you. You did a great job co-leading for the first time. Maddie, it was a pleasure to hear your sermon this evening. I found it very important and very thought-provoking. Thank you to Julie and Eric Kiesel for joining us tonight to light the Shabbat candles. We have a number of opportunities to gather, learn, and celebrate over the next few days and weeks. All of the events, except for Friday evening services, are on Zoom. The only place to find the Zoom links is the Shabbat Shalom email that is sent out every Thursday. Friday services will continue to be made available on both Facebook Live and YouTube. Tomorrow we have Torah study at 9 a.m. and Torah study service at 10 a.m. The best way to find this service is to click on the link provided in the Shabbat Shalom. If you need the meeting ID and passcode, those are found in the section titled General Information about Joining a Zoom Meeting. Zoom Havdalah will be tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Note that there is a different Zoom meeting link this week. Register now for a Sisterhood Judaica Collage Smart with Art event. This will take place on Tuesday, April 27th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The registration link can be found in this week's Shabbat Shalom email. Join us this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. for a Nefesh Mountain concert. Tune in to see a dynamic Jewish bluegrass band. That sounds good. If you have not seen them before, you are in for a real treat. We will be gathering on Zoom with a few fellow Washington synagogues. This concert is made possible with a generous donation from the Mark and Anna Lee Rutlinger Music Family. Mark was a past president. I think Anna Lee was too. Members save the date. This year's annual congregational meeting will take place on Zoom on Tuesday, May 18th at 6 p.m. Information on how to attend and what we will be discussing will be found in the May bulletin and emails that will be sent to members. Temple Bethel continues to be closed for the time being. We are currently not allowing any in-person meetings with clergy or staff. At least one staff member will be in the office during the usual business hours, Tuesday through Friday, so that you can also call the office if needed, but there are no drop-ins allowed at this time. We are beginning to prepare for reopening and allowing limited in-person services, but this will not happen without the support of many community members. Thank you to those who have indicated they are available to help and have joined us for the first training this last week. But we still need more volunteers in order to resume in-person services. Volunteers will act as service supporters to help ensure that we can properly check in everyone and that all protocols are followed. We have another training set up on May 2nd. If you are willing to help as a volunteer, contact our president, Aaron Peterson, at president@tbetacoma.org. As always, if you need help or are willing to help those in need, please contact Temple clergy, staff, or leadership. Shabbat Shalom, and please stay safe and healthy. I just wanted to say one other thing. If you are thinking of someone that you haven't seen through all this time, reach out to them. I reached out to someone. I haven't seen her. She doesn't do Zoom. She doesn't do Facebook. I got her phone, her address from the temple, from the temple, and I went and saw her. She's fine, but I've been worried about her. So reach out to somebody you love and say hello. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. Shabbat shalom. As we continue with the prayer for healing, please write in the names of those you are thinking of this evening. In our own community, our thoughts are with Maddie Pimentel-Diaz and her family, David Aqua, Sam Raymond, and our wonderful accompanist, Debbie Job. We also think about communities deeply affected by continued systemic racism, including Columbus, Ohio, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, Chicago, East Jerusalem, and all those who continue to experience injustices in our world, including those experiencing medical inequities. We pray for those experiencing and healing from COVID in our community, in Washington State, in our country, and as a global community where hundreds of thousands are struggling to obtain adequate medical care and supplies, including in Brazil and India. Our prayer is on page 253. Please join us.
Yisheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We now turn to the counting of the Omer, which is done between Passover and Shavuot. Why do we count the Omer? There are many reasons. Simply put, it is to track the passing of time between the Passover barley harvest and the Shavuot wheat harvest. The rabbis also connected the Omer to the Exodus story, emphasizing that we count from the beginning of our physical freedom from the Passover Exodus to our spiritual freedom of embracing the Torah on Shavuot. The prayer can be found on page 278 or on your screen.
Oh, I love your graphic. That's from Aaron Peterson. Very, very nice. And the blessing ends. It's a traditional blessing like Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, and the last three words is the commandment, which is Al Sfirat HaOmer. So join with me. We say together, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Kidshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Al Sfirat HaOmer. Hayom Shiv'a V'Esrim Yom Shehem Shlosha Shavuot V'Shisha Yamim LaOmer. Today is the 27th day, which is 3 weeks and 6 days of the Omer, and we have fulfilled the commandment.
Please rise for the Aleinu on pages 282 and 284.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה לעוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד. And please be seated. We continue on 287.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please turn to the top of page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life no ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose.
So on this Shabbat, I'll first ask for those to rise who have lost someone in the last day, weeks, or month. And next, I'll ask those to rise who are observing a yahrzeit on this Shabbat. And to the mourners, I say, Hamakom yinachem etchem, b'toch sha'ar avilei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. In our community, We are thinking first of the loss just yesterday of Alan Michael Raymond, father of Sam Samantha Raymond. Many of you know her. She is our regular at our Saturday morning and Friday services, and we will have a memorial service for her and for her family and her young children this coming Monday. So please check. You'll be receiving an email and a Zoom invite. And I hope that many of us will be able to come and support Sam and the family. In the period of Shloshim, we're thinking of Paulette Messina, sister of Charles Piatak, and our condolences go out to Charles and the family, and also to Charles's father, Milton Piatak, and his mother, Susan Piatak. And also we're thinking of Charles Cale Hudson, grandfather of Annie Netz, also in the period of Shloshim. In our community, we're also thinking of Terry Julius in Jerusalem, Barbara Aqua. I just saw that note. In our community, we are remembering the yahrzeit, the dates of our loss for Lucille Aqua, Harriet Aronowitz, Friedrich Ashkenazi, Dr. Lester Baskin, Herbert Ira Burns, Peggy Weston Boxberger, Harry Brandt, Bill Bright, Morley Brotman, Amelie Buchbinder, Bernard Cohen, Gertrude Crystal Pound, Paula Dessau, Ronald Glickman, Catherine Hantover, Marguerite Hillman, Joan Krivosha, George Levine, Myrtle Lindsay, George Monotopoli, Grace Paul, Abraham Perlman, Roger Robinson, Nathan Robinson, Betty Robinson, Alice Rosenthal, Barbara Rosenthal, Gertrude Schneider, Yetta Shapiro, Lena Kosakov-Slotnick, Irma Volk, Martha Webb, Beatrice Weston, Fav Wittenberg, Milton R. Wolfe. We rise as a community to say the Kaddish. Again, page 294. Please read with me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'amad yivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha barich hu le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tush bechata ve'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya ve'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We say zichronam livracha, may their names and all that they created and offered to others who gave their time and their joy to others be for a blessing. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you for attending services with us tonight. And a special thanks to our candle lighters, Julie and Eric Kiesel, to Maddie Plumer for a very wonderful and thoughtful sermon, Barbara Ockwell for giving out announcements, and as always, an incredible thanks to Aaron Peterson for his technical support during this and all of our Friday night services, and to Cantor Fine for leading this meaningful service.
And to Val for leading this meaningful service. Thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful service and your wonderful reading and your gifts. Thank you.
As we celebrated Earth Day just yesterday, we conclude with Lo Alecha, the words The words say, "It is not your duty to complete the work, neither are you free to desist from it. We are the stewards of God's magnificent creating of everything in the world. May we do our job with skill, perseverance, and care." Join us on page 341 or on the screen.
לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. ולא אתה בן חורין להתאבל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין. ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין. ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין.
Please rise for the Kiddush on page 5, followed by Hamotzi on 302.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.